die for your sins. You get what I'm saying? He,
All right. So I'm going to read for a few minutes here. Pick up at Maccabees, First Maccabees, chapter 7, and read a few chapters here. In the 115th year, Demetrius, the son of Seleucus, departed from Rome, and came up with a few men unto a city of the seacoast, and reigned there. And as he entered into the palace of his ancestors, so it was that his forces had taken Antiochus and Lysias, to bring them unto him. Wherefore, when he knew it, he said, Let me not see their faces. So his host slew them, now when Demetrius was set upon the throne of his kingdom. There came unto him all the wicked and ungodly men of Israel, having Alcimus, who was desirous to be high priest, for their captain. And they accused the people to the king, saying, Judas and his brethren have slain all thy friends, and driven us out of our own land. Now therefore send some man whom thou trustest, and let him go and see what havoc he hath made among us, and in the king's land, and let him punish them with all them that aid them. Then the king chose Bacchides, a friend of the king, who ruled beyond the flood, and was a great man in the kingdom, and faithful to the king. And him he sent with that wicked Alcimus, whom he made high priest, and commanded that he should take vengeance of the children of Israel. So they departed and came with a great power into the land of Judea, where they sent messengers to Judas and his brethren with peaceable words deceitfully. But they gave no heed to their words, for they saw that they were come with a great power. Then did there assemble unto Alcimus and Bacchides a company of scribes to require justice. Now the Assyrians were the first among the children of Israel that sought peace of them. For said they, One that is a priest of the seed of Aaron is come with this army, and he will do us no wrong. So he spake unto them peaceably, and swore unto them, saying, We will procure the harm neither of you nor your friends. Whereupon they believed him, howbeit he took of them 80 men, and slew them in one day, according to the words which he wrote. The flesh of thy saints have they cast out, and their blood have they shed around about Jerusalem, and there was none to bury them. Wherefore the fear and dread of them fell upon all the people, who said, There is neither truth nor righteousness in them, for they have broken the covenant and oath that they made. After this removed Bacchides from Jerusalem, and pitched his tents in Bethsith, where he sent and took many of the men that had forsaken him, and certain of the people also. And when he had slain them, he cast them into the great pit. Then committed he the country to Alcimus, and left with him a power to aid him. So Bacchides went to the king. But Alcimus contended for the high priesthood, and unto him restored all such as troubled the people, who after they had gotten the land of Judah in their power did much hurt in Israel. Now when Judah saw the mischief that Alcimus and his company had done among the Israelites, even above the heathen, he went out into all the coasts of Judea round about, and took vengeance of them that had revolted from him, so that they durst no more go forth into the country. On the other side, when Alcimus saw that Judas and his company had gotten the upper hand, and knew that he was not able to abide their force, he went again to the king, and said all the worst of them that he could. Then the king sent Nicanor, one of his honorable princes, a man that bare deadly hate unto Israel, with commandment to destroy the people. So Nicanor came to Jerusalem with a great force, and sent unto Judas and his brethren deceitfully with friendly words, saying, Let there be no battle between us, me and you. I will come with a few men, that I may see you in peace. He came therefore to Judas, and they saluted one another peaceably. Howbeit the enemies were prepared to take away Judas by violence. Which them after it was known to Judas, to wit, that he came unto him with deceit, he was sore afraid of him, and would see his face no more. Nicanor also, when he saw that his counsel was discovered, went out to fight against Judas beside Sapphir Salama, whatever that name is. Kafir Salama, where there were slain of Nicanor's side about 5,000 men, and the rest fled into the city of David. After this went Nicanor up to Mount Sion, and there came out of the sanctuary certain of the priests and certain of the elders of the people, to salute him peaceably, and to show him that the burnt sacrifice that was offered for the king. But he mocked them, and laughed at them, and abused them shamefully, and spake proudly, and sware in his wrath, saying, Unless Judas and his host be now delivered into my hands, if ever I come again in safety, I will burn up this house. And with that he went out in a great rage. Then the priest entered in, and stood before the altar in the temple, weeping and saying, Thou, O Lord, didst choose this house to be called by thy name, and to be a house of prayer and a petition for thy people. Be avenged of this man and his host, and let them fall by the sword. Remember their blasphemies, and suffer them not to continue any longer. So Nicanor went out of Jerusalem, and pitched his tents in Bethoron, where a host out of Syria met him. But Judas pitched in Adasa with 3,000 men, and there he prayed, saying, O Lord, when they that were sent from the king of the Assyrians blasphemed, thine angel went out and smote 185,000 of them. Even so, destroy thou this a host before us this day, that the rest may know that he hath spoken blasphemously against thy sanctuary, and judge thou him according to his wickedness. So the 13th day of the month Adar the host joined battle, but Nicanor's host was discomfited, and he himself was first slain in the battle. Now when Nicanor's host saw that he was slain, they cast away their weapons and fled. Then they pursued after them a day's journey from Adasa unto Gazara, sounding an alarm after them with their trumpets. Whereupon they came forth, and of all the towns of Judea round about, and closed them in, so that they, turning back upon them that pursued them, were all slain with the sword, and not one of them was left. Afterwards they took the spoils and the prey, and smote off Nicanor's head and his right hand, and he stretched out so proudly, which he stretched out so proudly, and brought them away, and hanged them up toward Jerusalem. For this cause the people rejoiced greatly, and they kept that day a day of great gladness. Moreover, they ordained to keep yearly this day, being the 13th of Adar. Thus the land of Judah was in rest a little while. One thing you see reoccurring themes in all these stories and throughout history: the Most High always, always led his people to victory. No matter who they were facing, when they were facing giants and giants of enormous size, they always won. They always slayed. They always won the battles. It just always happened that way. That's important to remember in the times we're in, and the things coming upon this earth. That anything can happen. It's not doom and gloom to talk about the things coming. If you're truly seeking the Lord's face every day and walking with Him, when these things come upon the earth, He is going to be your protection, your rock. There is nothing that He can't do. So a lot of people tend to get scared and afraid, and that's the last thing that we should do. We should never fear, never be afraid. We should be bold, brave, and come proudly in the name of the Almighty God. So these stories with Joshua and those when they were slaying all these giants, and it's estimated some of these giants were 30, 40 feet tall, some even taller and enormous. I've always tried to picture in my head, how did they do this? I would love to be able to see video footage of these battles if it were possible or something, but pretty amazing stories. And these stories also have a similar theme. Israel, they always turned against God. They always got lost along the way, forgot all that He had done for them, disrespected, had false idols, everything and anything they did. But He was always there to forgive them and reestablish the relationship and build it back. And he look at the number of times He saved them. Did wonderful, miraculous things to save them, whether it be from starving, from Egypt, from the Pharaoh's men, and everything. There's just story after story, and they're not just stories. There's overwhelming proof that a lot of this stuff has been dug up and found things that match up with the stories. So it's not. It's like so many people will say these are fairy tales and made up stories when they are absolutely not. This is the real history. This is the most accurate history you're going to get than you will in any school or book written by men, especially nowadays. Anyways, chapter 8. Now Judas has heard of the Romans, that they were mighty and valiant men, and such as would lovingly accept all that joined themselves unto them, and make a league of amity with all that came unto them, and that they were men of great valor. It was told him also of their wars and noble acts, which they had done among the Galatians, and how they had conquered them, and brought them under tribute, and what they had done in the country of Spain for the winning of the mines of the silver and gold which is there, and that by their policy and patience they had conquered all the place, though it were very, very far from them. And the kings also that came against them from the uttermost part of the earth, till they had discomfited them, and given them a great overthrow, so that the rest did give them tribute every year. Beside this, how they that had discomfited in battle Philip and Perseus, king of the Sidons, with, with others that lifted up themselves against them and had overcome them. How also Antiochus, the great king of Asia, that came against them in battle, having 120 elephants, with horsemen and chariots, and a very great army, was discomfited by them. And how they took him alive, and covenanted that he and such as reigned after him should pay a great tribute and give hostages, and that which was agreed upon. And the country of India and Media and Lydia, and of the goodliest countries which they took of him, and gave to King Eumenes. Moreover, how the Grecians had determined to come and destroy them, and that they, having knowledge thereof, sent against them a certain captain, and fighting with them slew many of them, and carried away captives their wives and their children, and spoiled them, and took possession of their lands, and pulled down their strongholds, and brought them to be their servants unto this day. It was told him besides how they destroyed and brought under their dominion all other kingdoms and isles that at any time resisted them. But with their friends and such as relied upon them, they kept amity, and they that had conquered kingdoms both far and nigh, insomuch as all that heard of their name were afraid of them. Also that whom they would help to a kingdom, those reign, and whom again they displace, finally that they were greatly exalted. Yet for all this none of them wore a crown or was clothed in purple to be magnified thereby. Moreover, how they had made for themselves a senate house, wherein 320 men sat and counseled daily, consulting a way for the people, to the end they might be well ordered, and that they committed their government to one every man every year, who ruled over all their country, and that all were obedient in that one, and that was neither envy nor emulation among them. In consideration of these things, Judas chose Epolymus, the son of John, the son of Achus, and Jason, the son of Eleazar, and sent them to Rome to make a league of amity and confederacy with them, and to entreat them that they would take the yoke from them, for they saw that the kingdom of the Grecians did oppress Israel with servitude. They went therefore to Rome, which was a very great journey, and came into the Senate, where they spake and said, Judas Maccabeus with his brethren and the people of the Jews have sent us unto you to make a confederacy and peace with you, and that we might be registered your confederates and friends. So that matter pleased the Romans well. And this is the copy of the epistle which the Senate wrote back again in tables of brass, and sent to Jerusalem, that there they might have by them a memorial of peace and confederacy. Good success be to the Romans and to the people of the Jews, by sea and by land forever. The sword also and enemy be far from them. If there come first any war upon the Romans or any of their confederates throughout all their dominion, the people of the Jews shall help them, as the time shall be appointed, with all their heart. Neither shall they give anything unto them that make war upon them, or aid them with victuals, weapons, money, or ships, as it hath seemed good unto the Romans, but they shall keep their covenants, without taking anything therefor. In the same manner also, if war come first upon the nation of the Jews, the Romans shall help them with all their heart, according as the time shall be appointed them. Neither shall victuals be given to them that take part against them, or weapons, or money, or ships, as it hath seemed good to the Romans, but they shall keep their covenants, and that without deceit. According to these articles did the Romans make a covenant with the people of the Jews. Howbeit, if hereafter the one party or the other shall link to meet to add or diminish anything, they may do it at their pleasures, and whatsoever they shall add or take away shall be ratified. And as touching the evils that Demetrius doth to the Jews, we have written unto him, saying, Wherefore thou made thy yoke heavy upon our friends and confederates, the Jews. If therefore they complain any more against thee, we will do them justice, and fight with thee by sea and by land. Chapter 9. Furthermore, when Demetrius heard that the Nicanor and his hosts were slain in battle, he sent Bacchides and Alcimus unto the land of Judea the second time, and with them the chief strength of his host, who went forth by the way that leadeth to Galgala, and pitched their tents before Massileth, which is in Arbela, and after they had won it, they slew much people. Also the first month of the 152nd year they encamped before Jerusalem, from whence they removed and went to Berea with 20,000 footmen and 2,000 horsemen. Now Judas had pitched his tents at Elisa, and 3,000 chosen men with him, who seeing the multitude of the other army to he so great were sore afraid, whereupon many conveyed themselves out of the host, insomuch as abode of them no more but 800 men. When Judas therefore saw that his host slipped away, and that the battle pressed upon him, he was sore troubled in mind, and much distressed, for that he had no time to gather them together. Nevertheless, unto them that remained he said, Let us arise and go up against our enemies, if peradventure we may be able to fight with them. But they dehorted him, saying, We shall never be able. Let us now rather save our lives, and hereafter we will return with our brethren and fight against them, for we are but few. Then Judas said, God forbid that I should do this thing and flee away from them. If our time be come, let us die manfully for our brethren, and let us not stain our honor. With that, the host of Bacchides removed out of their tents and stood over against them, their horsemen being divided into two troops, and their slingers and archers going before the host, and they that marched in the forward were all mighty men. Usually when it says anything about the mighty men or men of renown, it's talking of giants. As for Bacchides, he was in the right wing, so the host drew near on the two parts and sounded their trumpets. They also of Judas' side, even they sounded their trumpets also, so that the earth shook at the noise of the armies, and the battle continued from morning till night. Now when Judas perceived that Bacchides and the strength of his army were on the right side, he took with him all the hardy men, who discomfited the right wing, and pursued them unto the Mount Azotus. But when they of the left wing saw that they of the right wing were discomfited, they followed upon Judas and those that were with him at the heels from behind. Whereupon there was a sore battle, insomuch as many were slain on both parts. Judas also was killed, and the remnant fled. That's too bad. He was a good dude. When Jonathan and Simon took Judas, their brother, and buried him in the sepulchre of his father in Modin. Moreover, they bewailed him, and all Israel made great lamentation for him, and mourned many days, saying, How is the valiant man fallen that delivered Israel? Imagine that was a huge loss to them. As for the other things concerning Judas and his wars, and the noble acts which he did, and his greatness, they are not written, for they were very many. So that statement alone right there tells you all you need to know about that guy. That's pretty amazing. All right. Anyways, now after the death of Judas, the wicked began to put forth their heads in all the coasts of Israel, and there arose up all such as wrought iniquity. In those days also was there a very great famine, by reason whereof the country revolted and went with them. Then Bacchides chose the wicked men and made them lords of the country. And they made enquiry all and searched for Judas' friends, and brought them unto Bacchides, who took vengeance of them and used them despitefully. So was there a great affliction in Israel, the like whereof was not since the time that a prophet was not seen among them. For this cause all Judas' friends came together and said unto Jonathan, Since thy brother Judas died, we have no man like him to go forth against our enemies, and Bacchides, and against them of our nation that are adversaries to us. Now therefore we have chosen thee this day to be our prince and captain in his stead, that thou mayest fight our battles. Upon this Jonathan took the governance upon him at the time, and rose up instead of his brother Judas. But when Bacchides gat knowledge thereof, he sought for to slay him. Then Jonathan and Simon his brother, and all that were with them, perceiving that, fled into the wilderness of Tekoa, and pitched their tents by the water of the pool of Asphar. Which when Bacchides understood, he came near to Jordan with all his hosts upon the Sabbath day. Now Jonathan had sent his brother John, a captain of the people, to pray his friends the Nabathites, that they might leave with them their carriage, which was much. But the children of Jambri came out of Medeba, and took John and all that he had, and went their way with it. After this came word to Jonathan and Simon his brother that the children of Jambri made a great marriage, and were bringing the bride from Nedabatha with a great train, as being the daughter of one of the great princes of Chanaan. Therefore they remembered John their brother, and went up and hid themselves under the covert of the mountain, where they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, there was much ado and great carriage. And the bridegroom came forth, and his friends and brethren, to meet them with drums and instruments of music and many weapons. Then Jonathan and they that were with him rose up against them from the place where they lay in ambush, and made a slaughter of them in such sort as many fell down dead, and the remnant fled into the mountain, and they took all their spoils. Thus was the marriage turned into mourning, and the noise of their melody into lamentation. So when they had avenged fully the blood of their brother, they turned again to the marsh of Jordan. Now when Bacchides heard hereof, he came on the Sabbath day unto the banks of Jordan with a great power. Then Jonathan said to his company, Let us go up now, and fight for our lives, for it standeth not with us today, as in times past. For behold, the battle is before us and behind us, and the water of Jordan on the side, and that side, the marsh likewise and wood, neither is there place for us to turn aside. Wherefore cry ye now unto heaven, that ye may be delivered from the hand of your enemies. With that they joined battle, and Jonathan stretched forth his hand to smite Bacchides, but he turned back from him. Then Jonathan and they that were with him leapt into Jordan, and swam over unto the other bank. Howbeit the other passed not over Jordan unto them. So there were slain of Bacchides' side that day about 1,000 men. Afterward returned Bacchides to Jerusalem, and repaired the strong sites in Judea, the fort in Jericho, and Emmaus, and Betharon, and Bethel, and Tamanatha, Parathon, and Taphon. Those did he strengthen with high walls, with gates, and with bars. And in them he set a garrison, that they might work malice upon Israel. He fortified also the city Bethsura and Gazera, and the tower, and put forces in them, and provision of victuals. Besides, he took the chief men's sons in the country for hostages, and put them into the tower at Jerusalem to be kept. Moreover, in the 153rd year, in the 2nd month, Alchemist commanded that the wall of the inner court of the sanctuary should be pulled down. He pulled down also the works of the prophets. And as he began to pull down, even at that time was Alchemist plagued, and his enterprises hindered, for his mouth was stopped, and he was taken with a palsy, so that he could no more speak anything, nor give order concerning his house. Palsy, huh? Sound familiar with something going on today? So Alchemist died at that time with great torment. Now, when Bacchides saw that Alchemist was dead, he returned to the king, whereupon the land of Judea was in rest 2 years. Then all the ungodly men held a council, saying, Behold, Jonathan and his company are at ease, and dwell without care. Now therefore we will bring Bacchides hither, who shall take them all in one night. So they went and consulted with him. Then removed he, and came with a great host, and sent letters privily to his adherents in Judea, that they should take Jonathan and those that were with him. Howbeit they could not, because their counsel was known unto them. Wherefore they took of the men of the country that were authors of the mischief about 50 persons, and slew them. Afterward Jonathan and Simon, and they that were with him, got them away to Bethbassi, which is in the wilderness, and they repaired the decays thereof, and made it strong. Which thing when Bacchides knew, he gathered together all his host, and sent word to them that were of Judea. Then went he and laid siege against Bethbassi, and they fought against it a long season and made engines of war. But Jonathan left his brother Simon in the city and went forth himself into the country, and with a certain number went he forth. And he smote Odnarchus and his brethren and the children of Phasiron in their tent. And when he began to smite them and came up with his forces, Simon and his company went out of the city and burned up the engines of war, and fought against Bacchides, who was discomfited by them. And they afflicted him sore, for his counsel and travail was in vain. Wherefore he was very wroth at the wicked men that gave him counsel to come into their country, inasmuch as he slew many of them, and proposed to return into his own country. Whereof when Jonathan had knowledge, he sent ambassadors unto him, to the end he should make peace with him, and deliver them the prisoners. Which thing he accepted, and did according to his demands, and sware unto him that he would never do him harm all the days of his life. When, therefore, he had restored unto him the prisoners that he had taken aforetime out of the land of Judea, he returned and went his way into his own land. Neither came he any more into their borders. Thus the sword ceased from Israel. But Jonathan dwelt at Maccabees, and began to govern the people, and he destroyed the ungodly men out of Israel. All right, that's it for now. My eyes are bugging me. I'll probably do some more here later this evening. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.